What's going on, y'all? It's waiverwirequeen. Today we're going to do a rookie mock draft for a super flex league. I know everyone is either drafting already or preparing to draft. So we're going to do a mock draft, and I'll talk about some players who have landed in some unfavorable spots, some players who have landed in some favorable destinations, as well as the quarterback position. The NFL draft was very good. It was one of the most exciting ones because of all of the trades and a lot of the movements, specifically with the wide receivers in the first round. So first night was crazy and exciting, and it was a good draft. I feel like a lot of teams made the best decisions for their teams. A lot of teams didn't reach. A few teams did reach, but most teams made some really smart moves. We'll talk about the quarterback position. Obviously, we all were saying this class wasn't strong, pretty much was weak. I don't think anyone anticipated the majority of the quarterbacks going undrafted until the third round and later, but that is pretty much what happened. So you should adjust what you do in your drafts, regardless if you're in a two quarterback league, super flex league, one quarterback league. You have to make the adjustment. Let's get right into it, guys.
The Blown Coverage Fantasy Football Podcast with Waiver Wire Queen.
So, y'all, we know that the quarterback position this year was weak. Most had Malik Willis as the highest rated quarterback. He was the third quarterback drafted, and he was drafted in the third round. And I don't think anyone predicted that he would be drafted by the Titans, but he was. However, with all that went on, especially at the quarterback position, it should have you rethinking what moves you should make in your draft. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you play fantasy football, whether that is a redraft, dynasty, keeper league, whatever format you are on or playing. We will definitely make sure that you are ready for the upcoming season so you can stay ahead of your competition, because the goal is to always win, and you got to do your homework and research in order to do so, and we'll take care of you. Make sure you like this episode. Let's get ready to do this mock draft. I don't know about you guys, but I'm excited, super excited. So we're going to do a mock draft for a super flex league that I am in. And I have two picks in this draft. I'll talk about a bunch of things. I'll talk about some players that I feel you should be fading or at least be concerned about due to where they were drafted. Some players went to situations that was just like, okay, if you were thinking or considering this player late, you're definitely like, it's a no for me, because their destination, the landing spot was terrible. Okay. And again, I say that you can't just focus on the first two rounds of the draft, because most dynasty leagues, you're in a league where you have at least 4 to 5 rounds. So you have to plan for those rounds if you have picks. And with the landing spots of a lot of the players who you were most likely considering drafting late were horrible. So it should have you kind of questioning or second guessing if you should pick those players. But we're gonna have some fun with this mock draft. Let's go. So now in this league, again, the individual picking first and fourth was saying that he was going to go quarterback for both positions. Now, since the draft, he is pretty much put both picks on the block, which I can understand. He was originally going with Willis first, and then fourth he was going to Kenny Pickett. That would be a terrible decision. I thought it would be a terrible decision prior to the draft, but more so now that we know where both guys are going. I wouldn't touch a quarterback in the first five picks. The top five, I wouldn't touch a quarterback. Honestly speaking, I wouldn't draft a quarterback in the first round in this draft, but I know a lot of people are definitely going to draft Kenny Pickett because of his draft capital, his landing spot, and pretty much the weapons that the Steelers have and added during the draft. So he is in a favorable situation which means he should be able to produce if he is the first round talent that the Steelers pretty much invested in. But again, he was early on my second best quarterback and then moved down to my third best quarterback. And then some people had him lower than that. You know, we had A Butter on, and he didn't even have Pickett in his top five. Um, Everything is pretty crazy here from the quarterback position. So I'm just gonna allow the computer to make some of these selections, because right now we simply don't know what's going to happen. I do feel like the person picking first should definitely go for a running back in this league. But again, what I tell people is to be careful with how you approach your draft, because you shouldn't draft the same in every league, because every league is different for various reasons. That can be just the obviously the settings, due to the format of the roster, scoring, and then one of the biggest things is everyone else in the league. You got to kind of adjust with how people are moving. Some leagues people don't have a lot of training, which if you ain't training a lot in the dynasty league, then you might as well just have a redraft league. Okay, trading is part of it. It's exciting. It makes the dynasty league fun as well. So this young man, for me, he has Swift as his starting running back. I do believe he can add another running back. He has Higgins and more, so he can easily go, for me, running back or wide receiver with this first pick. To me, it should be Brees Hall. And any league you're in, the first person off the board should be Brees Hall, and that is it. I don't care what anybody else is saying. If you're drafting anyone other than Brees Hall with the number one pick in your league, then I'm not sure what you're doing here. Now, when I'll pause for my pick. But now with this gentleman, I don't think he should go two running backs. I do feel like he can use a running back and a wide receiver. So with him, I do believe he should go running back and then wide receiver. Brees Hall went to the Jets. I feel like he is the better back. He's better than Michael Carter, better than Ty Johnson, better than any running back on their roster. The Jets had a great draft, and adding someone like Brees Hall was tremendous. We expected them to most likely add a running back. Again, they may not have been confident in what Michael Carter did this past year, which is why they went and drafted Brees Hall much higher than they did Michael Carter. They actually traded up with my Giants, and how dare my Giants make such a move. But again, they got their guy. I do believe he is going to be the lead back at some point. These two don't complement each other, so it's not going to be both of those two guys. So I feel like Michael Carter stock down. They went and moved up to get Brees Hall for a reason. So Brees Hall should be the first player off the board in all leagues. That's just my opinion. Unless you decide to go wide receiver, but I don't feel like any quarterback in this draft with this group should be drafted first or in the top five. And again, my feelings, the first round. Traylon Burks went to, that's fine, but I do still feel and believe that Drake London should be the first wide receiver off the board. After the first night, stock was a little down for me because I don't feel like his long-term success is going to be favorable when you have someone like Marcus Mariota throwing you the ball. Corey Davis had some okay seasons with Marcus Mariota, but nothing that would make me confident in drafting Drake London, you know. However, when they drafted Desmond Ritter, that changed for me. I do feel like he is the best wide receiver. And again, adding Ritter kind of changed my mind, and his stock went back up to me, because I do feel like Desmond Ritter is going to compete for the starting job. He's not going to just be sitting the whole season, because again, we don't feel like Marcus Mariota is a long-term solution. And at some point, he's going to show you that. And again, Desmond Ritter most likely will be in the mix. Garrett Wilson, to me, I think he went to a good situation. They added a lot of weapons with the Jets. Um, Zach Wilson is going into his second year, so they wanted to surround him with weapons in order to give him the opportunity to succeed. Because we know with Darnold, they didn't surround him with any weapons, and that didn't work out. So with Zach Wilson, we're hoping that he takes the next step. Should you go and target Zach Wilson? Yeah, but buy low, because again, just because they added all of these weapons doesn't mean Zach Wilson's going to end up being that great guy. He should have a better season than what he did, because they even worked on the offensive line. So he should play well this year, but we don't know. Kenneth Walker, I know a lot of people are saying, well, they got Carson, they got Penny. Well, Walker is very talented, much better than a lot of people give him credit. Didn't have opportunity to get involved as a receiver. Again, that's just not what they were doing. Doesn't mean he can't be that guy with Seattle. And again, Chris Carson dealing with the neck issue. Sharp Penny always hurt, did turn it up towards the end of last season, re-signed for one deal. Carson and Penny won't even be signed after this season. They'll be free agents. So Walker will obviously be the only back truly under contract worth, a look at. So I do feel like at some point the pick of Walker will work. One, because neither one of these guys can stay healthy, and two, I don't think they're going to be looking at those two once this season ends. So if you draft Walker, it's a smart long-term move. Drake London, again, is my top wide receiver. Again, after night one, I was like, ooh, Mariota. Looked at Corey Davis. I think his best season was like 900 yards with Mariota. Some of that was Mariota, some of that was Corey Davis. But I do believe in Drake London, and I believe in the Desmond Ritter pick. So I do feel like Drake London will be good. Or even if, say, Ritter doesn't end up panning out next year, the Falcons will be in the mix for one of the potential generational franchise quarterbacks. So don't bypass Drake London. It's going to be a big mistake. Isaiah Spiller, I'm fading him in the first round. I was fading him before the draft, and I'm fading him even more so. Although I do like the situation that he was drafted in with the Chargers. We obviously know that's Austin Eckler's backfield, but again, he to me is not an every down back. Great PPR back, but not an every down back. Isaiah Spiller should be in the mix at some point, but not at 106. Chris Olave, great player in my top five at wide receiver. I actually have him number 2. Chris Olave. This is a good pick for him. You won't regret making this pick for Olave. Great situation with the Saints. I do believe that Jameis Winston is going to come out there and be airing it out if they give him the opportunity to do so. Him and Olave and Thomas, to me, they complement each other. If Thomas can stay healthy, and Chris Olave is fast as hell, very good player. He's the type of player that's going to scare the defense. He's the type of player that when you are getting ready to play your opponent during the week, you're going to look like, ooh, he may run one to the house and get about 18, 19 points just on one play. So you got to look for that. All right. So I've been rambling a lot, but I'm just trying to give y'all some insight on what I think. Now I pick 8th, and then I picked 10th. So, and then I picked 201. So my first thought was I wanted a quarterback. Now, the only quarterback that I simply trust right now is to me is Desmond Ridder. He was a quarterback I had as a sleeper in the first place, but I'm still not feeling him here right there. I do want to add some more either some young wide receivers or young running back. But when you look at the running back situation, James Cook went to a good landing spot with the Bills. Rashad White, yes, but not immediately because obviously they just re-signed Leonard Fournette for 3 years, and it's going to take some time for him to adjust. Maybe long term it's a good move, but first round it's a no for me. Damian Pierce, to me, his stock went up because his landing spot is favorable with the Texans. Marlon Mack is a very good running back, but he's incapable of staying healthy. And Rex Burkhead, come on now, let's stop. So Pierce has the opportunity to do some things, and I do like where Zamir White ended up because the Raiders didn't extend um, Jacobs. They declined his fifth-year option, so that should tell you a lot. And I don't believe in any other running backs on that team, so I'm not gonna go running back here. I do like the wide receivers on the board. I wouldn't draft a tight end in the first round, so don't do so. So I do like Williams, so I'm just gonna go with him right here.
Wow.
Let's get this draft resume. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Williams. If I get to him, cool. I think Malik Willis right here is early, and I don't feel like based on everything that's happened, he should be the first quarterback off the board based on landing spots. And this is all talk about landing spots. Kenny Pickett should be, and again, I'm not high on him, but he is obviously the most pro ready, and he's go into a situation where he has the opportunity to start day one. Okay, he simply does. So I'm looking at running back. I like Cook, but again, I'm still not going to do that here. I honestly really like. You can go with Dotson with Washington, but I really like Pickens and where he went. I like that the Steelers added him again. They have some really good weapons for Kenny Pickett to go into and succeed and be successful. I have a few picks in the second round. Um, I do need to add a running back, and I like James Cook from the get go, and I really like his situation. I do like Desmond Ridder, Kenny Pickett. I just have never had him on my board. So he's someone you can draft, but he's not someone I'm looking at. So right here, I'm just gonna go, and then the rankings here is a little different. I'm just gonna go and get my running backs. I know I need a running back. It may be a bit early, but again, I don't pick till almost eighth. So I'm gonna go with Cook here. I do like his landing spot. He went to a very good landing spot, and it's going to be in the mix playing with Josh Allen. I took an opportunity and took a chance. Now, in the real mock, in your real draft, I don't anticipate Ridder being here this late, and again, I don't anticipate Malik Willis being picked in the first round. So you got to plan accordingly. But if I'm picking Ridder here, that's a good pick. Again, I had Ridder as a quarterback that I was targeting prior to the draft, and based on his landing spot and who the Falcons have starting, there is an opportunity for Ridder to play this year, in my opinion. Okay, because let's be real, what is Mariota really doing? Here's some other players. I see Christian Watson on the board. I don't expect Christian Watson and Sky Moore to be here at the end in any of the leagues that I'm doing. So think about their landing spot. These two players are going to go much higher when you're dealing with Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes. But for me, if I'm thinking realistically on what I'm trying to do, I'm not gonna do it here, but I'm probably gonna try to grab me a running back. But based on what's going on, I'm gonna go Watson. Really like where Watson landed. Ross, unfortunately, hasn't been drafted. This league is a league that has individual defensive players as well. So I don't expect anyone to draft defensive players. So don't expect that to happen. In this draft, I think people will most likely just pick up a defensive player if they want. We're trying to make it more so people do pay attention to defensive players, but again, not a lot of people are really pay attention to the defensive players in this league. I'm not high on Pierre Strong. I liked him before the draft based on his landing spot. I don't, because I'm just like, let me just make my pick. I'm just gonna do a burner pick here. I don't like where he landed. Okay, why is what I ask. I'm just gonna take Sky Moore here. Big question:
Wow.
why? Why would they draft Pierre Strong? Patriots. It's like, come on. That is just not, that's a no for me. I wouldn't draft him. I do like where Zamir White ended up based on his landing spot and based on what we know about what's going on out there on the Raiders. Uh he has a chance to play, in my opinion. I know they got Josh Jacobs. If you look at his stats, they're gone. His carries definitely has gone down every year. Stats gone down every year. They again did not extend him. They declined to extend the fifth-year option, pretty much. So what does that tell you? And you bring in a young, talented running back who I really like, Brian Robinson. This was a head scratcher pick for me. Went to Washington. Thought Antonio Gibson was their guy. Understand he kind of gets hurt a lot. They re-signed J.D. McKissick, which I'm sure he's regretting now based on this pick. But I didn't have Robinson being drafted early at all, and even in the mock drafts, I had him going at what, the fifth round. No one has showed any signs of that they were going to reach on him. So I most certainly have no intentions of reaching for him. He's not someone who I'm high on. Haven't been high on him, so just not that guy that I'm interested in. Sky Moore is definitely not going to be here in the fourth round. He's going to go much earlier. I do like where Tyler Algier went. Definitely has the opportunity to play. Okay, let's be real. Cordero Patterson is not going to be the long-term answer at running back. So we can all stop it. Everybody stop it. So this young man has opportunity. Combine wasn't great, but he ran like a 4.6 something, very bad. But again, he still has an opportunity here. Okay, he simply does. Mike Davis ain't doing anything. Damien Williams is not. Okay, so good pick. He was ranked low on my board. Now I've moved him up a bit based on landing spot. Doesn't mean he's going to pan out, but hey, there's a chance. With Ross, he wasn't even drafted in. Based on my research, he hasn't even been picked up yet. So he hasn't signed with anyone. So he's not a player you can look at. Carson Strong has since signed with the Eagles. So again, he's a player you can look at late. It depends on how deep your league is, but again, he's a player that I had as a late round, like fifth round pick based on 12 to 14 team league where it's 5 rounds. He's a player that went undrafted, but again, with the Eagles, who else went undrafted? Shockingly, Jalen Watermeyer, he went undrafted and he has since signed with the Bills. So he's a player I'm looking for late. But any player that went undrafted and had to sign should not be a player you should really be checking for. But again, he was highly ranked out of the tight ends and went undrafted. So I like the landing spot for him. They added a few tight ends and also signed it OJ Howard. So it kind of makes me believe that they're not so high on their tight end who had a breakout season this past year. But again, if you go out and bring in all these tight ends in and you sign one, a player who went undrafted, tells me a lot about how you feel about the guy. Then they added some really good players with the Bills. I like that they went and they got obviously Cook. He was ranked high on my board. It's going to be slightly higher because of the landing spot. I also like the fact that they went and drafted Khalil Shakir. That was a very good move, in my opinion. I wish he would have went somewhere else because maybe he would have more of an opportunity to play. But at one point when I was watching the draft, he was kind of going off my board as a late round sleeper because I'm like, okay, landing spot, he may go undrafted. Then the Bills ended up drafting him, and I'm like, okay, there is some hope for him because I still don't see Crowder as the long term solution. Um, David should be taking the next step, but we'll have to see about that. So that was a very good move. Again, Pierre Strong, I'm not happy with where he landed. So just a no for me. Jerome Ford is a player I was looking at late. He was drafted by the Browns. He's undraftable for me because come on now, what was the point? You have Hunt, Chubb, Dearness, like I don't understand it. So yeah, if I was looking at him late, and I mean late like fourth, fifth round, towards the end of the draft, I'm not gonna do so because he's never gonna get on the field. Like, come on now. He's not. Um, who else? Isaiah Spiller, again, we talked about his landing destination. I don't feel like he should be going in the first round, but I do feel like some people will pick him in the first round. And let's talk a little bit about these quarterbacks. Kenny Pickett, first round, first round. Should he still be drafted in the first round? Just because the Steelers drafted him in the first round doesn't mean much to me. I didn't have him ranked as my top quarterback. Again, this class is weak, so I'm fading all of the quarterbacks as far as I'm concerned in the first round. But if someone wants to take a chance on a quarterback in the first round, it should be Kenny Pickett because he's the guy who's most likely going to start. Although they signed Mitchell Trubisky, I do feel like Kenny Pickett won't have the opportunity to start. We heard Mike Tomlin say it. So that should tell you all you need to know. And again, the weapons. They have some very good weapons. They added some really good weapons in this draft. So there's a possibility that he may start. Again, Desmond Ritter. Don't sleep on him. Not in the first round, though. Sleep on him in the first round, but don't sleep on him in this draft. I do feel like he went to a favorable destination and should have the opportunity to compete with Marcus Mariota. We know what Marcus Mariota did in Tennessee. So Desmond Ritter should be on your radar. To me, as the second quarterback in this draft. And then Malik Willis, let's be real, Tannehill played horrible. Had that great second season with Tennessee, the season before last. This past season wasn't that great. Obviously, some of it was players in and out of the lineup. You got King Henry out for a period of time. Then your wide receivers were in and out. But at the end of the day, didn't play well in the playoffs. And part of the reason why they ended up drafting Malik Willis, I don't think they made this investment for no reason. Again, they're a playoff team, so I feel like it's going to be Tannehill's job. And if he loses it this season, then Malik Willis will be out there. But I believe they're going to allow him to learn and stuff. So this is one of those picks that you can kind of look at and be cautious with later on in the draft because he may end up being their starting quarterback. And if we believe he has the tools, he just needs those tools to be coached up and cultivated so he can grow. He can be a very good quarterback, but he's got to put the work in, and the organization has to invest in him. So we'll have to see. He was my top ranked quarterback, but based on landing spots, he has moved to a third. I was going back and forth with him and Matt Corral. Matt Corral's in a perfect situation because you have some really good weapons and you have Sam Darnold, who hasn't played well. So at some point, they may pull Sam Darnold and give it to Matt Corral if he's playing well and Darnold is playing terrible. So there is a chance for this young man to get the opportunity to start this season. So he's a player that, you still draft, but you don't dare do that early because you may end up regretting it. When these quarterbacks, we don't know. It's going to be unpredictable, and you're just taking chances on potential. And if you are a team in rebuild and early on in your draft, you don't do it because you're rebuilding and every pick you want to hit and you need to hit. So don't do it. Sam Howell, another quarterback. I had him ranked fifth, still have him ranked fifth. Again, he has the opportunity to go in there and take Carson Wentz's job, in my opinion, because Carson Wentz, he's been okay, but still not good enough to where he should feel like he has job security. Don't listen to what the Commanders say. They can say, "Oh, we believe in him," blah 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 blah. Nah, you went and drafted Sam Howell, whether that was in the fourth round. We don't care. You don't really believe in Carson Wentz, but you had to get a quarterback because you want to be a playoff team. It's just not going to be a good long term solution at quarterback. So I do feel like at some point, based on what he has done and what we've watched over the last few years, Sam Hall is going to get an opportunity, and he may take that opportunity and run with it. Now, if he's a Baker Mayfield 2.0, it ain't going to work. But at the end of the day, he's still going to get his chance, and I do believe it's going to be this season because, again, when Carson Wentz, y'all know how Carson Wentz is, so I don't even need to say. Some other players who are really again don't like the destinations. I already told you uh, a few of those players. I really do like what the Chiefs did with Sky Moore. That's good. Alec Pierce is a player I really like of the Colts. They're adding weapons, and that's a good thing. So Alec Pierce is a player I'm looking at as well. I'm staying away from Tyquan Thornton. That was just ridiculous by the Patriots. Again, they don't do good at drafting wide receivers. So to me, if I was them, I would always stay away from wide receivers. Hell, they don't even do a good job at signing wide receivers. So that was just not a good move. These wide receivers they signed this past season is a no. Okay, yeah, they may have landed Moss, but this group that they just signed terrible. And we see what happened with N'Keal Harry. So Bill's just not good at the whole wide receiver situation. He need to let somebody else do that for him because you can't tell me you reached and drafted this young man in the second round. I don't care if you wanted to get faster. There were faster wide receivers left that are overall better. You can't just tell me all you want is speed. You still want a complete player, and I just don't think that was the right pick. But nonetheless, it's Bill. I mean, we can't go against Bill Belichick, y'all. Y'all know how Bill Belichick is. Some tight ends. I do like McBride. Don't necessarily know how I feel about his landing spot with the Cardinals. I do think it's a good long term solution, but they did re-sign Zach Ertz to a 3-year deal. He seems to be getting a little healthy over the last few games, I'll say, because long term, over the years he hasn't been able to sustain health. But McBride was the best tight end ranked, and again, going to the Cardinals, they have a lot of weapons, so that may hurt a bit. Again, in a two tight end league, you draft them, but again, I'm not drafting any tight ends in the first round in any league. There are too many good wide receivers in this rookie class that you should be loading up on a lot of these wide receivers, and then you got Hall and Walker as well in the mix in the first round, with Hall being the first guy off the board. Bell, like the Cleveland destination for him. Who else? Watson, again, that's a good move to Green Bay. Again, it's going to take some time. There's going to be some growing pains, so you have to consider that. Isaiah Likely to the Ravens. They drafted a few tight ends, which is a little much of a head scratcher, but a lot of people feel like he's more of a wide receiver. They didn't draft any wide receivers that, they should have invested in after trading away their top wide receiver, but this should be favorable for Bateman. So if you had Bateman, hopefully he's going to be able to take several steps forward for your team this year. Who else is a player that I'm looking at? Let's see. There's a few. Greg Dulcich, I really like him being drafted by Denver. So he's going to be in the mix. I'm sorry. He simply is. He's going to be in the mix. So to me, he's gone a few places up in my rankings as my second ranked tight end based on landing spots. Jelani Woods, that's a good destination. The Colts, we had Kylan Granson ranked as a breakout tight end. And our previous episode, you check that out on tight ends who are going to be breakout tight ends. But adding Jelani Woods, I'm thinking they don't feel like maybe he's that guy. So that's why they went and invested a high pick on Jelani Woods. So that's something you really need to consider. And then again, I don't believe in Moali Cox long term in Dynasty. Um, I do like the Cade Otton pick. Tampa drafted a few tight ends in this draft, so that's something to check for. Again, I feel like at some point Gronk is going to come back, but again, we don't know. What we do know is there's a lot of uncertainty with Gronk. OJ Howard has left the building, and right now is Cameron Brate. So at some point, I think Otton will be in the mix. I also want to switch it back over to the wide receivers because I do like the Cowboys drafting Jalen Tolbert. Thought that was a very good pick. Don't like the Cowboys, but I love the pick. Very good pick. So he's a player I'm looking for in some of my drafts. And yeah, that's pretty much it with these rookies. I know a lot of you guys are getting ready to have your draft, so that's going to be a stressful situation. I have a few coming up as well. And you just gotta plan ahead. Everyone should be up doing their research. We all have been waiting for this moment, so you should be up now doing your research, uh, running mocks, and pretty much making sure those mocks that you run are different. Don't just do a bunch of different mocks and pick different players to see where players being drafted at. Don't just keep doing the same thing because that is obviously not good, because that may not be what happens when you go into your draft. So try to do various scenarios, because anything can happen once the real draft starts. Once it starts. You don't know, but expect the unexpected. You don't know, but expect the unexpected in most of your drafts, and don't reach. We've watched the NFL draft, and they didn't reach with the quarterbacks, which was smart. And now it's up to you guys to not reach. Don't reach for the quarterbacks. Um, Prioritize a lot of these wide receivers, because this class was a very deep class at the wide receiver position, and you were able to see that with so many being drafted in the first round. And I do believe most of these guys will be very, very good. Deep class at the wide receiver position. I'm in a league where you have to start 4 wide receivers. So most people like to have a whole lot of wide receivers. Smart, because when you have to start 4, that's a lot. So again, and that's wide receivers. That's not including we have other slots where you can start a wide receiver tight end. I think we can start a total of maybe 5 wide receivers, I think, which is a lot. No, it's 6, because you can start a wide receiver in the super flex position as well. It's a lot. So again, because this class is deep at the wide receiver position, you prioritize wide receiver. Tight ends, not that deep. Some went undrafted who you thought may have been drafted. So that should tell you all you need to know. And then with the quarterback position, we know how that went. So you're going to see a lot of wide receivers going in a lot of these dynasty drafts, kind of like in the NFL. So just be smart about what you do. And again, do not reach. Do not reach. And make sure you have your board full of players. So many players. I don't care if it's the worst player who you don't envision drafting. Just have everybody on the board where they went, and slowly just, make the decision to make the best pick for your team. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you enjoy playing fantasy football. I don't care what format. We have all that knowledge for all formats. Okay. So dynasty, redraft, keeper, best ball, DFS. We got you over here. So make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit that like button. And also leave some comments and let me know what your plan is for your upcoming draft. When you're drafting and what your plan is. Make sure y'all have a great evening. And also, again, don't reach, don't stress. Peace.